for joining. I'm Monica Fischel, and I think I know most everybody here except for, I think I'm not familiar with Rosalinda. Welcome. Can you just let us know what department you're with?
I am with the Center for Microengineered Materials, and I have made you and everybody, almost everybody, to at different symposiums or meetings. Yeah, but I'm just a physical service tech.
Oh, well, welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you.
And Catherine Roster, I think I might not know you.
Good morning. I'm Catherine Roster, and I'm a faculty member at Anderson School of Management, a marketing professor, and I'm also director of Anderson's Behavioral Research Laboratory.
Great, thank
Catherine is also a survey design queen. I remember.
Oh, that's right. We had quite the time with that, didn't we?
Right.
That was so much fun. And yes, so it's kind of one of my specialty areas is methodology. I just took over as the behavioral lab director, so I'm trying to get my arms around that. So today's really helpful, and I've got a big pad of paper here to write down. So I really appreciate all the great information. And I also said, I know Mary Jo from also I worked with her on the RPC, so I've served on that for now the third year.
Great. Well, good to have you.
Thank you.
So I'm Monica Fischel, and I'm co-presenting with Grace Faustino. And congrats on that awesome shout out from our keynote speaker. That was very cool, Grace. So today is kind of just going to be sort of a laid back presentation. You can jump in anytime with questions if you have any, and comments, because this is kind of like we're just learning how to navigate this software ourselves. And so we're going to just give you an overview of InfoReady Review. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And all right. There we go. And I'll start the slideshow. Okay. Good. So welcome to this presentation. And again, stop us if you have any questions. And I'm going to kind of lead the presentation, and Grace is going to jump in and add any additional information I might be missing. And Mary Jo, if you don't mind doing the same, if you think of something that I might have missed. All right, so first of all, what is this? InfoReady Review is a web-based system for managing internal competitions. So it's for internal funding purposes. It's not like grants.gov for like system to system stuff. This is all for internal things that we do here at UNM. And it's utilized for like pre-proposal submissions, approvals, review, and selection management. So through this system, we're able to collect the pre-proposals, we're able to assign them to various reviewers, and then also make the award notifications and through that system itself. And the nice thing about it too is you don't need to remember any new passwords or anything like that. You just log in using your UNMnet ID and password for this.
And if I can just add to Monica that we are currently testing it for one of our annual research recognition award application nomination process. So when Monica gets to that, you'll kind of see how we're utilizing it. There is a lot more functionalities that we can highlight later on.
Yes. And so basically, I just want to kind of give you a little bit of background on it. As far as sort of managing limited competitions, we've been using a manual process that involves basically tracking things on an Excel spreadsheet, collecting the pre-proposals and reviews and things through email, and then kind of just doing also notifications through email. And then we keep our website updated manually as well with all of those limited competitions and who is selected. So this is a really nice tool to have because it replaces that manual process. And in those processes, as you know, collecting things through email, there's always the possibility of an error, of forgetting to not noticing that an email came in, things like that. We're usually pretty careful about that, but as you know, things can happen. And so we're using it for our limited competitions for main campus. It's also, there's a hub, and we'll show you what that looks like. It's kind of like a one-stop shop for all internal funding opportunities here on main campus. And so the other nice thing about it is reviewers log directly into the system. They review the applications there, and they're able to submit their reviews within the system. And then also there's reporting capabilities, which we haven't had in the past. And that way we'll be able to more easily pull information on like how many limited competitions we've run each year, and other metrics like is how many people submitted to them, who those people were. There's a lot of really nice features with this. And this program is actually something that Ellen Fisher was using at her previous institution. And so she's the one that kind of brought it to our attention and told us, hey, this might be a really useful tool to help replace the manual process that you all are using right now. Here's just kind of a graphic showing you how other institutions are using InfoReady. So as you can see, a lot of them use them for internal funding opportunities, limited submissions, awards and recognition. Those are the three that we're using it for. And they're also using them for like poster competitions, fellowships and scholarships, approval routing for like internal travel approval documents and things like that. So there's lots of cool possibilities. And so as I mentioned before, UNM is currently using ours for these three purposes. And related to that, as Grace had pointed out earlier, that we are using it for the annual Community Engaged Research Lectureship Award. Sorry, that's a hard word to say. That award recognizes exceptional scholarly work, and that's a commitment to the community engagement, and it's for other faculty, other people on campus to nominate their peers for this award. And it's very prestigious, and it's one of the highest honors that is bestowed here at UNM. And so that's currently one of the, if you go to the, and I'll show it to you in a little while, but when we go to the actual InfoReady Review website that we have, our portal, you'll be able to see what that competition looks like, and you'll notice that that one's currently running. We also have used it for, used the system for the PERC internal funding opportunity that was offered through the Office of the Vice President for Research. And also the other one that we just recently finished using it for was the We Are One Investing in Faculty Success, Faculty Scholarship Time. We call it FAST. And that is basically for faculty to be able to request student support or kind of like a course buyout in order to help them be able to focus more on research. And so that was one that we just recently finished up. Okay, and so limited competitions is kind of like my main purpose for using the software. And so as you all know, limited submissions are when the sponsor limits the number of applications that an institution can submit. And so we have recently, actually just this month, have started posting our limited competitions through InfoReady Review, and we'll be collecting and running that entire process through InfoReady. So that's new for us. And on the site, you can go and review all of the open competitions. Currently, we've got 2 running. We have the NSF MRI internal competition, well, limited competition, and then we have the one for the NM Arts. And one thing I wanted to note, since I have you all here, is if you notice, if you're looking for a limited competition that your PI maybe mentioned that they're interested in submitting to, and if you don't see it on our website, please send us an email, reach out to us and let us know. That way we can look into it and see about posting it. We don't catch them all. We try very hard, but it's not easy. All right, so who? These are the various roles within InfoReady Review. You've got your InfoReady admins, so people like myself and Grace. And what we can do is we can post and share opportunities. We can create custom forms for collecting the data, because obviously the information you're collecting for various applications is not always going to be the same. And especially when you're with regard to, say, a grant submission versus something like a nomination, like this year, it's very different data that we're collecting, different application information. We can route those. There can be, there's an ability to get approvals from, say, like department chairs or deans if we need that. And we can track the activity and the progress on those applications. So we can actually see when, if it required a chair's approval, we can see when they've actually made that approval. And there's also the ability for applicants and approvers to submit sort of notes or information to us through the portal, to the people who are administering those particular opportunities. Then, of course, you have the applicants who are the PIs potentially who are submitting applications to these. We can, they can submit all of their materials, and also we can ask for progress reports, which is also a cool feature that I mentioned a little earlier, because in the past, we didn't necessarily know if a particular submission had been funded or not without going back into Cayuse, searching for that record, so manually looking for it. Well, with this system, we can send a progress report sometime in the future, maybe 6 months after we've had the limited competition or after the sponsored deadline, and we can ask the PIs to report on whether or not they were funded. And so that's more data that we can collect and use for future reference. And that also keeps track of applications for the PIs. So if they've submitted something, like let's say we've got somebody submitting to the MRI and they're submitting to the NM Arts, those applications will be there in their historical data, so they can track to see what they've submitted to in the past. And then for reviewers get email reminders, and we assign a deadline for when we would like the reviews to be completed. And if they're not done by that deadline, the system will send them a reminder that you have a pending review that is past due. And then in that system, we can have them, they review the actual applications within the system. So it's not like we have to email the applications to them. And then they complete those reviews in that workspace, which captures their scores, their comments, things like that. And that way we can hopefully provide the applicants with more robust and useful comments and reviews. Another cool thing is that, as you may know, we use Pivot for finding funding here on main campus. That's our primary database that we go to for finding funding. And this InfoReady Review software actually integrates with Pivot. And so if you find a funding opportunity that's limited, there's a little link from our Pivot page, and we can click it the link that will take us straight into InfoReady Review, and it will pre-populate some of the basic information for that funding opportunity. So that's a really nice feature that we already have Pivot, and now we have InfoReady, and they speak to one another. So we're really excited about that. You might be asking yourself, why do I need to know about InfoReady Review? Well, it's because it's well, a couple of things. One, this is a resource where administrators and research development professionals can point PIs to for main campus, limited competition, and campus-wide research initiatives and awards. So that's one thing. But the other thing is if you're, let's say your PI is going to be on vacation or not have access to the internet, for maybe they're out working out in the field, you can actually serve as a proxy for them. They can assign you as a proxy, so that way you're able to submit their applications for them. I know in the past for limited competitions, it's not unusual to see a PI may have assigned somebody else or asked an admin person within their office to go ahead and submit their application materials for a limited competition. So this is essentially the same idea, but they can log into the system and they can designate you or someone else in the office as a proxy. So that way the submission can still happen on time. All right, so navigation, the InfoReady homepage, it displays all of the open opportunities that we have. It only shows the open ones. So if you or your PI is interested in looking at past opportunities to see if we've actually held a limited competition for a particular solicitation, for example, they can go, you can click on the calendar tab and that will show you current and past opportunities. So that's the way to navigate that, because currently, as if you're familiar with the FRDO Limited Comps website, you can kind of see them all listed, and we always have the most current ones at the top of the list, and you can also search for opportunities from, I think we have them all the way from 2017 to today. So of course in InfoReady, since we're just using the software, the only ones you're going to see in there are the ones that we've started posting as of this month basically. But that will be kind of a historical place where the calendar tab will be the historical place for looking at past opportunities for finding them. And you can view a specific opportunity by clicking the apply button. And when you click the apply button, don't worry, you're not required to submit an application. It just kind of gives you the details on that submission. And then applications can also be saved as a draft prior to submission, which is nice too, because if your PI starts the application, but maybe they're not quite finished, or they hadn't really thought about maybe the cost share that they were going to address in their application. So maybe they want to save that and come back to it after they've talked to their department chair, for example. That can be done. All right, so this is what the home page looks like for InfoReady Review, and this is the actual link that will take you to that home page. And we will we'll be giving a demo shortly, and so we'll kind of show you a live navigation of that site. And this is how you log in. There's a button. That's the blue button at the top that says University of New Mexico login. So as long as you've got a net ID and password, you're going to be able to log into the system.
Monica,
right.
do you want to maybe speak to the external users too who can use the system by creating an account?
Yeah, did you want to talk more about that, Grace? I think you might be a little more well-versed on that part.
Yeah, so in addition to the application being connected with single sign-on for UNM affiliate applicants, we have the ability for external users to also submit applications from within the community. If you don't have a UNM net ID and password, you just have to create an account and log in that way. For the moment, it's mostly used for external reviewers who are given the role of a reviewer from within the community who don't have a UNM account. They can go in and still review nominations and applications in the system. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for speaking on that, Grace, because there might be opportunities when we would want to have an external reviewer. Let's say we've got a proposal that's being submitted and we want to have reviewers like a red team review, for example, somebody outside of UNM do a review for us. So that could be a useful tool for that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this presentation, and we'll go into the actual site itself and show you what that looks like. Okay, minimize this. All right, I'm going to share my screen again. All right, so this is what the actual homepage looks like when you go to unm.inforeadyfor.com. This is the overall sort of homepage that shows you everything we've got running right now. So is this small? I think maybe I should zoom in a little bit.
That's good.
Okay. So on this homepage, you'll see everything we have running, and this is the type of application it is. We've got this one is under the awards and recognition, and these are the two limited competitions that I mentioned. And so you can also, from up here, and I'm not logged in yet, so this is what you can see just from coming to the site without being logged in. If you're only interested in internal funding, you can use the drop down here and see what's available. Right now, we don't have any internal funding opportunities running. Or you could go straight to limited competitions if you want, and it will just show these two. And the same thing. So these are actually called microsites, this internal funding, limited submission and recognition and awards. With the InfoReady software package we do have only 3 microsites available to us. This is the calendar tab I mentioned. If you click on that, it will show you. So for September, you can see that we had, this is the, when we posted the annual community engaged research lectureship. This was the deadline. We had a deadline for the We Are One, the FAST opportunity that I told you about. So you won't find that on the actual internal funding homepage anymore, because that is in the past, but you can still find it here on this calendar. You can also do a list view if you prefer to view it that way. So you have some choices. And if you want to log in, the login button is here in the top corner. And as I showed you earlier on the screenshot, you'll log in here at University of New Mexico. So it's pretty easy to navigate. And let's say that you're interested in submitting to the limited competition for NM Arts. You can click on that. And you won't see all the same buttons that I have. I have some extra buttons, being that I'm one of the admin users, but I just wanted to show you this page so you can get an idea. We'll give you an overview of everything we have loaded in the system, all the details like the internal submission deadline, the funding organization's deadline. So when NM Arts wants their deadline for the actual proposals. We provide information on the amount of funding that's available. And then here we've added a note because this particular sponsor has a required advanced review that the selected PI has to participate in. And then this is a description, kind of a standard description that we normally, a layout of a standard description that we normally use for limited comps. So we give a description of a synopsis of what the program is, how much can be requested. We provide links to the website. We mention the advanced review, and then we add any additional things, like this one requires a 50% match. We include that information, and then everything that's going to be required for the actual internal competition, what we're requesting. And so then if we go to the home button again, I want to show you our funding hub. That's the other nice feature that we have. So up top, we've got recognition and awards. And so this is kind of also like that one-stop shop I was mentioning before. And so these would be like, well, as you can see, the recognition and awards, the limited competitions, we don't have any internal funding opportunities running right now, so they're not showing on these tiles. But then we also have an FAQs page. And again, this is sort of everything combined if you want to see everything that we have running currently. So this will be a lot more probably robust as time goes on, and we're posting more limited competitions, but this is what's running right now. Is there anything, Grace, that you wanted to go into?
Do you maybe expand the filters so people see what kind of filter system we have in place too?
Sure. So this is another way if you're looking for something for internal opportunities for your faculty, or let's say that you have a graduate student who's come to you and is interested in internal funding, then you can click on these filters and let's say we have a whole robust number of opportunities and things, then you would easily be able to filter them and get drill down basically to just get the ones that you're most interested in. And so we have it filtered by funding amount, funding type, and school and college. So we have quite a long list that we've included here. Key research areas, and then the award year. So this will help you if you're looking for something in particular. And if we have a bunch of them, then you don't have to read through each one. Are there any questions so far? No.
So Monica, have you gotten feedback from any of the early users on this?
We have actually from reviewers, because we have, when we have a limited competition, we usually reach out to various reviewers on campus, so other faculty peers who would have knowledge on that particular sponsor, and we have them use the system. And so far, it seems like everyone has found it to be pretty useful, and they like kind of just everything's in one place, and they can actually go back and look at their reviews that they've submitted and look back at the application. So when we have our meeting with the reviewers to kind of go over the applications and make a final decision, they can refresh their own memories by having those applications at their fingertips, and they don't have to dig through their email or print them out. So, and I think submitters also have the people that we've gotten feedback from have said that it's really easy and straightforward in the submission process. One thing though to keep in mind, if you're helping anybody submit, if you're serving as a proxy for them, there is only one upload per section, meaning when we ask for like the narrative section of the pre-proposal, that's one upload. When we ask for CVs of the PIs and co-PIs, that's also a single upload. So those CVs would have to be combined into a single document in order to upload them. So just something to keep in mind for that. Anything else? Grace, do you have anything that you think?
I think the one thing, like Monica said, is that we're learning the system, and really, when you start building a competition or a call, understanding in depthly the structure of the competition is key, and that will help you design the workflow behind the scenes in terms of approval processes and review processes and timelines and progress reports. So yeah, we have had some pretty complex ones that we had to deploy to get our feet wet. So that was quite a learning experience. There are different kinds of calls within the system that we haven't really explored yet. And as time goes on, we'll probably have a better understanding of the capabilities of what it can handle. So, but the next symposium next year, we should be pros at this. So.
Definitely. Yeah, so we just basically wanted to let you all know that this is the tool we're using and how to help your PIs kind of navigate it, find what they're looking for. And also feedback, we're always looking for that. So if you have suggestions for how the hub should be, what kind of information you think that those tiles in the hub should have, or if you feel like something's missing, we'd be very happy to hear from you and incorporate any kind of changes that make it more easier to navigate. And the other cool thing is that with InfoReady, the way it's laid out is it looks the same for every institution, except it will have their own sort of logo and colors and things like that. But the layout and navigation is the same. And I've actually found it kind of useful for looking at funding opportunities from other institutions on their InfoReady review sites, and that's a way that we sometimes use to make sure that we haven't missed any important limited competitions, especially ones that are hard to find, like some of those DoD ones that were coming out with very little notice and things. So.
And also, go ahead, Nerja.
Well, I was just going to say one other way that departmental and unit folks can use this and can help is, believe it or not, faculty don't read all their emails, and you know, checking periodically about internal funding opportunities. We just learned yesterday of an entire department who missed all of the internal funding that we did this summer, both for the equipment and the course release. And so having folks pay attention, looking here to see about that internal funding, because the other thing is that sometimes those notices go out to faculty and they don't always get out to staff. But if you make it a point to periodically check, you can help faculty see what they might have missed in their email. And right. So it's just a one-stop for that as well.
And also to add to that, a couple other use cases is, I know a lot of colleges and departments have like semester-based student scholarships that they award. This is a very good way to sort of build those student scholarships and awards and scoring for your colleges. Another way is if you have a college website, for example, and you can get in touch with your web designer to say, hey, you know, on our research tab, please add a link that points to this particular page where your researchers can then go directly there. We have that for our faculty research support tool also, where researchers can support proposal support requests from the FRDO office. This could be another button that you put on your website where researchers can just click and go to find opportunities.
Yeah, and we also, I wanted to mention that the College of Fine Arts usually has an annual, no, actually, I think it's twice a year, seed funding opportunity for their faculty. And so Elizabeth Faru is going to be using this system for managing those as well. And then I believe Christine Marquez from the College of Education and Human Sciences, she has some ideas for her college that, so I think more and more we'll see more of the funding opportunities, the internal ones going through this system. Probably women in STEM for advance will probably be going through this portal. And so it will become sort of that, it'll be a nice sort of one-stop shop for finding all of those. Whereas currently, if you don't know about them or know their funding cycles, or you're not, you know, getting emails from that particular college, you may not realize what all is available. Any questions, comments? Okay, well, if there's no questions, then we can go ahead and end the presentation. Unless you guys want to talk about like OSP stuff, because I see there's a lot of OSP people here. No. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks everyone for joining our session, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks, Monica.
Mhm.
So
Thanks,
how
everyone.
do we leave?
You.
There's a button in the bottom left right corner that says leave room. It'll just take you back to the main room.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day.
There we go. That was good.
Yeah, I mean,
Let me stop recording.